Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. It started on a Saturday, just after noon. Amy had gone out to get some paint samples for the guest room, something she'd been talking about for weeks but hadn't acted on. I figured I'd knock out some cleaning while the house was empty. I don't usually mess with the living room furniture, but the rug was overdue for a good vacuum, so I moved the couch forward a little. That's when I saw it. A silver ring. It was sitting between the baseboard and the leg of the couch, half covered in dust, slim, plain band, but with a small blue stone in the middle. Not one I recognized. Definitely not Amy's. She didn't wear silver, only gold, and she'd never go for something that subtle. Her style was bolder, louder. I picked it up, turned it over. There was a faint inscription inside. BL. That's what stuck with me. Those weren't her initials, and definitely not mine. I left the ring on the counter and didn't say anything right away. I wanted to see how she'd react. Amy came back around too, talking fast about shades of beige and holding swatches in one hand and an iced coffee in the other. "Hey," I said casually, nodding toward the counter. "This fall off something?" She glanced over, froze for half a second. "Oh, weird," she said, walking past it like it wasn't worth a second look. "That must be from when Claire came by last month. She wears rings like that." It was quick, almost too quick. I waited for her to pick it up, inspect it, do anything really. She didn't. "Claire hasn't been here since March, right?" Amy pulled a face. "Was it March? Huh. Feels more recent." She didn't sound convinced. She changed the subject almost instantly, asked if I'd remembered to water the plants on the back porch, and just like that, the ring disappeared from conversation. But it didn't disappear from my mind. I didn't bring up the ring again. I just let it sit there on the counter for a couple of days, untouched. Amy never asked about it, never moved it. It was like we both agreed to pretend it wasn't there. But something had shifted. That week, I started noticing things I hadn't before. Or maybe I had, and I just hadn't let myself connect the dots. She'd started showering with the door locked. Not every time, but enough for me to notice. Her phone, once left on the coffee table or plugged into the kitchen outlet, was now always on her, screen down, notifications silenced. I'd ask what time she was getting back from work, and her answer was always just vague enough to be useless. "Probably late. Depends on the meeting. Don't wait up." We never used to talk like that. And then there was the receipt. I was grabbing something from the passenger side of her car one night and saw a small slip of paper tucked between the seat and the center console. It was a parking receipt. It was from 2 days earlier, a garage in Northwood. Now we live in Brookline, and Amy works in the opposite direction. Northwood is a half-hour drive north, and we have no friends there, no clients, nothing that would put her in that part of town. When she came out to the garage, I asked, casual as ever, "You were up in Northwood earlier this week?" She blinked. "Northwood?" I held up the receipt. "Oh, yeah, I had a vendor meeting, last minute. It was at a cafe there." "Huh. I thought most of your vendors were local." She shrugged, a little too sharp. "Well, this one isn't." No apology, no real explanation, just an edge in her tone that said, "Drop it." So I did, out loud anyway. But in my head, I started putting things into a mental folder. The ring, the locked doors, the silences that didn't used to exist. I wasn't accusing her. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was just paying attention. By the third week, I had a small routine. Wake up early, make coffee, check her car's odometer before she left. I kept a note on my phone, tracking mileage. Nothing obsessive, just numbers. If she said she went to work and back, it should have added up to about 10 miles round trip. Some days it was more, 20, 30, once 47. I didn't say a word. I started using the iPad we used to share, the one we both had access to, but she hadn't touched in months. Nothing interesting in her email, but she'd forgotten to log out of her calendar. She worked in marketing, managed campaigns, vendors, print runs. I'd heard it all before, but strategy lunches? That was new, especially recurring ones. I didn't confront her. I bought a $25 voice recorder online. Tiny thing. I hid it behind the stack of books on the office shelf, the ones she used when she worked from home once or twice a week. She never noticed. The first time she worked from home after that, I checked the recorder that night. Nothing. Just keyboard clicks, her chair creaking, and the sound of chips. 3 days later, she worked from home again. I checked that recording when I got back from work. This time, she took a call. She used speaker. The guy's voice was deep, confident, smooth. "Hey, I miss your face." She laughed. "You just saw it." I paused the audio. My hands didn't shake. I didn't rewind. I just stared at the blinking light like it might explain what I was hearing. The call lasted 9 minutes. They talked about a rooftop bar, someone named Brandon, and how he'd better not call tonight because he's getting suspicious. That would be me. I sat there in my own office, listening to a stranger say my wife's name with a kind of ease I didn't recognize anymore. I saved the file, labeled it, didn't tell a soul. A couple hours later, Amy came home from errands, Thai takeout in hand. "Got your favorite," she said, setting the bag on the counter like nothing was wrong. "Not hungry," I said. She didn't ask why. That night, I realized I needed more than just audio. I needed something solid. The laptop in the hallway closet hadn't been touched in nearly a year. It was Amy's old one, back when she worked freelance before joining the agency. I charged it up one evening while she was out grabbing wine for the weekend. It booted up slower than I remembered, but she hadn't changed the password. The desktop was a mess, folders everywhere. I wasn't sure what I was even looking for until I opened the browser. Facebook was still logged in, Messenger too. The notification icon showed 2 unread threads. I clicked the first. It was him, Brandon. The entire conversation was there. Dozens of messages, stretching back weeks. Flirty banter, private jokes. A few inside references that meant nothing to me, but the tone was obvious. She wasn't just talking to him, she was with him. There were pictures too. Blurry selfies of the two of them. Her in a hoodie, mine, curled next to him on what looked like our couch. Another one in the kitchen, wine glasses in hand. Same countertops, same backsplash, same home. I scrolled back further, looked at the timestamps. They lined up with nights she said she was working late, nights she claimed she was stuck at the office or driving home from a client meeting. One of the messages linked to a hotel booking confirmation, downtown. Same night, she said her team had a late client dinner. Then I saw it, the exchange that stopped me cold. He said he was still thinking about Tuesday, said he couldn't believe they'd pulled it off. She wrote back, "Right? He was literally home 30 minutes after you left." There it was. She brought him here. Not to some hotel, not to a friend's place. To our house, our couch, our kitchen. The space we shared every day like none of this was happening. I stared at the screen for a long time, but I didn't feel shock. I didn't feel rage. I just felt done. I screenshotted the most damning messages, saved them to a USB. Then I closed the laptop slowly, like I was sealing a box I didn't plan to reopen. She came home that night humming, kicked off her shoes, poured herself a glass of wine, acted like it was any other Thursday. I watched her from the hallway for a moment, the way she leaned on the counter like she belonged in that kitchen, like nothing in the world had changed. And maybe for her, it hadn't. But for me, everything had. I didn't say anything that night, didn't ask questions, didn't give anything away. I just went upstairs, lay next to her, and stared at the ceiling until the room went quiet. The next morning, I got up early, took the screenshots I'd saved to the USB and printed them, just a few. The hotel confirmation, the messages, the photo of them on our couch. I slid them into a manila envelope and placed it in the center of the kitchen table. That evening, she got home later than usual. 9:47 p.m. I know because I checked. The tires crunched slow on the driveway gravel, like she was taking her time. She came in holding a takeout bag. "Hey," she said, smiling like we were fine. "I grabbed those burgers you like." I didn't answer, just nodded toward the kitchen table. The envelope was there, dead center, nothing else around it. Amy froze for half a second. "What's that?" "Go ahead," I said. "Take a look." She set the bag down, walked over, opened it. Her hand stayed steady. Her eyes didn't. She pulled out the hotel confirmation first, then a screenshot of her and Brandon, the one where she's wearing my hoodie, sitting on our couch, laughing like she hadn't just built her whole second life inside mine. Her jaw clenched. Then came the words, "Are you serious right now? You went through my stuff. You brought someone else into this house." She laughed, short and sharp like a reflex. "You're being dramatic." "Dramatic?" I stepped closer. "You lied to me for months. You made me doubt my own memory. You sat across from me every night and told me stories that didn't exist. She crossed her arms. You don't know what it was like, Joseph. You were always so distant, always in your head. I kept my voice calm. So you cheated. No, she snapped. It wasn't like that. It wasn't about him. I stared at her. But he was in our house. Silence. You should go, I said. Her eyebrows shot up. What? Your bag's in the front hall. Just the basics. She blinked. You're kicking me out? No, Amy. You already left. I'm just making it clear. I didn't think you'd actually do this, she said quietly. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. 2 days later, she posted a photo on Instagram. It was a black and white shot of her in the car, window down, hand in her hair like some kind of candid. The caption read, "Sometimes you grow out of the cage you didn't know you were in. #healing, #new chapter." The comments rolled in fast. You're so strong, girl. Glad you finally put yourself first. Takes courage to walk away from a toxic man. I didn't comment, didn't message her, didn't take the bait, but I read every line. To them, I was the cage. To her, apparently, I was the thing holding her back. She never mentioned me by name, but the tone was clear. Amy was rewriting the narrative, and people were buying it. A few mutual friends reached out, carefully worded texts. Hey man, I saw Amy's post. Hope you're doing okay. Wasn't expecting that news. You all right? I replied with the same line each time. Things change. I'm good. I didn't tell them about Brandon, or the hotel, or how she used our couch as a second stage. I figured if they wanted the truth, they'd ask. No one did. But then came Dana. We'd worked together once, just for a few months, nothing more. There was a moment back then, a little spark. She flirted once, casually. I didn't flirt back. I was married. But I remembered it. She dropped a comment under Amy's post. Growth is great, but honesty matters too. Short, simple, no likes, no replies. But it stayed up. The next day, someone else added, this caption feels curated, like you're leaving something out. That one got deleted in under an hour. But I saw it. Then the silence started. Amy stopped replying to comments, stopped posting. Her account went private the following week. I wasn't surprised. She controlled the story until it started cracking. And when the crack showed, she didn't defend it. She just went dark. That told me everything I needed to know. Not just about her, but about how fragile a lie becomes when it's exposed to light. I gave it a week. Then I boxed up the rest of her stuff. Framed photos, leftover clothes, the mug she always used for peppermint tea. I didn't smash anything. I didn't leave a note. I dropped it all at a storage unit near her sister's place and texted her the code. No response, which was fine. The house was quiet, not lonely, just still. I rearranged the furniture in the living room, not to erase her, just to make it mine again. I took the ring from the counter and dropped it in a donation box at the local church. I started running in the mornings, something I hadn't done in years. Signed up for a project that had been sitting on my hard drive for months. Ate dinner out once or twice a week, alone, by choice. Places with old bar stools and menus that hadn't changed since the 90s. No one knew me. That felt good. Then, one night, I saw Dana. She was at a bookstore downtown. We made eye contact across the shelf. That half-second flicker of I know you and you know I know. She spoke first. Hey, Joseph. Dana, I said. Been a while. We talked for a minute. Nothing heavy, just safe topics. Books, weather, local coffee shops. Then, just as I was about to say goodbye, she leaned in slightly and said, I knew you weren't crazy. I just wanted you to know that. I didn't ask what she meant. I didn't need to. Her voice was low but solid. She'd seen the post. She'd probably heard the whispers, and she'd done the math herself. Thanks, I said. That means more than you think. I walked out of the store that night with nothing in my hands but a strange sense of peace. Not revenge, not satisfaction, just space. The kind you earn after dragging yourself out of something that almost convinced you to stay quiet forever. A few days later, we got coffee. Dana and I. My marriage wasn't in the way anymore. One coffee turned into two, then dinner, then something that didn't feel like starting over, just starting honest. Now we had time, no pretending, This time, I didn't look past her smile. Amy texted me 3 weeks later. Would you meet me? Just to talk. I waited a day before replying, not out of strategy, just to see if I still cared enough to respond. We met at a small cafe across town, neutral ground. She showed up in a sweater I remembered buying for her 2 birthdays ago, hair tied back, no makeup, trying to look familiar. She sat down first. Thanks for coming, she said, eyes soft. I nodded. What did you want to say? I just... She paused, fingers tightening around her cup. I didn't expect it to end like that. You mean, honestly? I asked. Her face stiffened. I made mistakes, she said, but I didn't know how to fix things. I felt like you weren't really seeing me anymore. And you fixed that by bringing someone else into our home? Silence. She looked down, then back up. I know I hurt you. I do. But maybe we could talk. Not about getting back together, just, I don't know, starting over. In some way. I studied her for a moment. The same face, the same voice, but it all felt like a copy. Close enough to recognize, too far to trust. You didn't just betray me, Amy, I said calmly. You disqualified yourself. She blinked. What does that mean? It means the version of me who would have tried to work through this? He's not here anymore. You replaced him. She looked stunned. Maybe she expected tears, a plea, anything but the solid wall of no. I hope Brandon was worth it, I added. Not with bitterness, just finality. You'll be hearing from my lawyer, I told her. The divorce is already filed. I stood, left enough cash on the table to cover both drinks, walked out without looking back. That was the real ending. Not the day she left, not the post she made, not even the apology she finally worked up the nerve to offer. It was the moment I chose silence over salvage, peace over proof, and myself over her. This time, it didn't feel quiet. It felt clear. Thank you for watching.